Alrighty, in this lesson we're going to be looking at the price elasticity of demand and all the stuff that goes along with it. It's a fair amount of stuff. We'll probably break this into a couple of videos, but you can see these are the standards that we're going to be looking at. Define what it is, how we calculate it, state why we put it in a positive value. Then we're going to show all the diagrams, what they look like. Then the determinants. We're going to use the values to calculate, looking at a graph, calculate what the price elasticity of demand is. Talk about that. That's why it's not the slope of the demand curve. So anyway, we'll get to all this, but without further ado, this is going to take a little bit of time, so I apologize, but hopefully you'll have a pretty clear understanding after we're done. So price elasticity of demand is simply this concept that says, you know what, if we change the price of a product, what's going to be the response of consumers in the economy? Okay, so if you're Coca-Cola and you're charging $1.50 for a gas station, the 20-ounce Coke at a gas station, what's going to happen if you raise it to $1.80? All right, obviously the law of demand says that if you raise the price, then the quantity demanded is going to decrease, and so we know that that's going to happen. But the real question is, how much is it going to decrease? All right, what if they raise the price by 10% and everybody just about bought the same amount? Maybe sales dropped 1%. All right, then that would give us that would tell us something about the product. What if they raise the price 10% and half the people stop buying it? What would that tell us about the product? So that's what elasticity of demand is looking at, the price elasticity of demand. It is the responsiveness, so it's got it up here, the responsiveness of the quantity demanded to a change in price along any given demand curve. So we're going to calculate it using this formula. The formula to calculate it is the percent change in the quantity demanded of a product divided by the percent change in the price of a product. All right, and that will give us the price elasticity of demand, and we use PED for short here. So let's do a couple of examples and talk about how to calculate it, and then I want to talk for just a little bit about what those values mean. All right, the significance, if I say the PED is a 3 versus the PED is a 0.15, or whatever. So let's go ahead and calculate a couple. Sorry. So let's say that I give you the price, and the price goes up by 20%. All right. What's going to happen to the quantity demanded? We know that if the price rises, given the law of demand, the quantity demanded is going to have to go down. And so let's just pretend that the quantity demanded goes down 10%. And so with this information, you can calculate the price elasticity of demand. You just, again, plug and chug the numbers. So we have the percent change in the quantity demanded. This went down 10%, so if it goes down, you put a negative. And the price went up 20%, and so the value of PED here is negative 0.5. Now, what I want you to take just a second on is looking at, will this ever be a positive number? Okay, think about the law of demand and what that says. If the price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down, and if the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. The signs in front of these are always going to be opposite, which will always give us this negative value. Okay, so everybody knows this, and so instead of writing the negative there all the time, we just use the absolute value sign, the absolute value of the number. And so when you see the PED values, and this is what this one's addressing here, when you see the PED value of 0.5, you should know in the back of your head that it is a negative because of the law of demand. All right, so that would be our first one. Let's do another example. If the price goes down by 5% and the quantity demanded goes up by 15%, then the value of the price elasticity of demand, so take the quantity demanded, that's a plus 15 up here. Again, the signs really don't matter because we're using absolute value, and we lost, price went down 5%, so the value there is 3. All right, how about one more? What if we say the price goes up 10%, and what if the quantity demanded went down by 10%? All right, what's the value of it? So that's just 10 over 10, so the price elasticity of demand would be 1. All right, so let's talk for just a second about what the values. I'm going to erase all this, so if you're still copying, just pause it here. Uh, so let's talk about what these values mean. All right, just with the number itself. So when you see the number, what does that mean? So if a good is inelastic, it's going to have a PED value of between 0 or 0 to 1. All right, and it's going to be anything less than 1, so 0.99 repeating. So any value that's between 0 and 1, we call that inelastic. We have this other thing called unit elastic. All right, and so unit elastic product, the value is 1 itself. All right, so just an example here, if percent change in quantity was negative 10%, and we had an increase of 30%, of the product, then, the absolute value there is 0.33, I think. And so unit elastic, what if they raise the price 10% and there's a decrease of 10% in the quantity demanded? That'd be 1. All right, so then we have elastic products have a value of anything greater than 1. All right, so if they lower the price 20% and they see sales pick up by 80%, then we know that the elasticity value, the price elasticity of demand for that product is 4. All right, and so that's what the numbers mean. All right, and we're going to see what that looks like here on graphs in just a second. But one other thing that I want to show you. So again, copy this down. I'm about to erase this. Is another way to determine the elasticity value is what they call the total revenue test. All right, and this will tell you whether a product is elastic or inelastic. And so if you forget the formulas, you can always go back to this total revenue test and see if it, and figure out what you're looking for, whether it's elastic or inelastic. So just in short, if the price of a product goes up and total revenue goes down, all right, then this product would be considered elastic. And remember, to calculate total revenue, this is simply price times quantity. All right, and so conversely, if the price goes down and total revenue goes up, it's also considered elastic. All right, so when we have this inverse relationship between price and total revenue. Now, what if you raise the price and your total revenue goes up? All right, we would say that that's an inelastic product. And if the price goes down and total revenue goes down, then that's also considered an inelastic product. All right, and so let me graph this out. You know what, let me see if I can move this. Hang on just a sec. Actually, I think I can minimize it. Love technology, I think. That's pretty cool. Oops. I'm going to have to take care of that here shortly. So let's do that. There's our total revenue stuff. All right, so what we want to look at is how this looks. And so let's say this is a demand curve. There's the price, there's the quantity, and we're going to put the total revenue curve below this. All right, so that's in dollars. And let's say the total revenue looks like this. All right, so this means as we sell more products down here, our total revenue goes up until we hit a point, say right here. All right, and so our total revenue maxes out, and then if we start to sell more products, our total revenue starts to go down. All right, now on any demand curve, you're going to have 3 different sections. This top part up here is the elastic part of the demand curve. All right, and the bottom part is the inelastic part of a demand curve, and the center here is the unit elastic part. All right, and so when we did this total revenue test, which I put through a shrink ray, here's kind of how this looks. Let's say that we have a product, and here's our price, and so we're going to sell at this price. We're going to hit the demand curve. We know we're going to sell, 10 of them, whatever that is. Now we can keep coming down here, keep doing the dotted line down, and when we hit this curve, this will tell us what our total revenue for the product is. So it's 10 units. So 10 units, our total revenue let's say that this was $5. All right, so at 10 units, our total revenue is $20. Now, what if we lower the price to $4? All right, what's going to happen? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, we come over here and we know that we're going to sell more. So let's say now we're going to sell, what was that, 10? Let's say we're going to sell 20. All right, and so we know that if we sell 20 at $4, our total revenue is going up, and so we can come down and touch this and then bring that over. And so now our total revenue is $40. And so this happens all the way up until this point. All right, and so we could keep lowering the price and earning more revenue until we reach this point. But then you notice, let me use a different color here. Then you notice, what if we go here and we charge $2? All right, the quantity demanded is still going to go up. Let's say that we can sell 100 of them. Nope, that's not going to be what I want. It's going to give me a bad example. Let me not use numbers because I unfortunately didn't work this part out. So let's say, if this is our new price, this will be our total revenue. All right, and so now our total revenue has come down from here. And if we lower the price even more to P4, we can come over here until we hit the demand curve. Now we have this new quantity, Q4, and that's going to bring our total revenue down even farther. And it'll go all the way until our total revenue gets down to basically nothing. And so this is the total revenue test. Let me pick some different colors again. So anything here, all right, so as we lower the price coming here, then we're raising our total revenue. All right, and once we hit a point and we keep lowering the price and start down this end, our total revenue starts to go down. And so if you look back over here, if you can see this, if the price rises, total revenue goes down. So if the price rises, from $4 to $5, what happened to total revenue? So at $4, our total revenue was 40. At $5, our total revenue was 20. And so we know that that's an elastic product. All right. If the price goes down, if we lower the price from $5 to $4, then our total revenue is going up. So whenever this is an inverse relationship exists, whenever that relationship exists between price and total revenue, it is an elastic product. Once we get beyond this point, all right, on this side of it, if the price goes down, we can see that the total revenue is going down. All right. If we take it the other way, if the price goes up, so let's go from P4 to P3. If the price goes from, here to here, then our total revenue is going to go up. And so, as you can see, when the price goes up and the total revenue goes up, when there's that direct relationship, then those products are inelastic. All right, so that's the total revenue test. That's not on this part, the standards, but it's a good test to know. All right, now let's go to this next page. Explain using diagrams and PED values the concepts of price elasticity of demand, price inelastic demand, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. So we'll see if I don't know if I can get them all on one page, maybe erasing in the middle of it. So a price elastic product. All right, so if a product is elastic, remember it has a value of what? It's greater than 1. And so an example of that would be, the percent change in, we'll do this, percent change in the quantity demanded over the percent change in the price. And so to get this value of 1, greater than 1, this might be 30, and this might be negative 10. All right. Hang on just a second. I'm about to lose my computer, and I do not want to stop. So just entertain yourselves briefly while I fire up the power on the computer, because that would be sad. Think of any good stories that you've heard lately or any jokes. All right. So we're powered up again. If we had a 10% decrease in the price and we had an increase of 30% in the quantity demanded, that gives us a PED value of 3. And so this is going to look something like it's going to be more flat. All right. So the more elastic it becomes, if this number went up to say 8, this curve gets even flatter. All right, and we'll look at why that is in just a little bit. But so just a price elastic demand curve is going to be more horizontal. All right, how about clear that? Price inelastic. The values are going to be less than 1. All right, and so we'd say if they lower the price of something by 10%, we might see an increase in quantity demanded of 5%, so that would give us that elasticity of 0.5. And so to draw an inelastic demand curve, or relatively inelastic demand curve, it looks kind of like that, more horizontal, or more vertical, excuse me. And we'll look at, when we graph some of this stuff out, why these curves look like they do. So that's perfectly, not perfectly, that's a generally inelastic demand curve. Then we want to look at unit elastic. And if you'll remember, unit elastic said that the percent that has to equal, the value has to equal 1. And so if we lower the price by 20%, then the quantity demanded is going to go up by 10%. So when you draw this, this is the only one that's going to be actually curved. This is what they call a rectangular hyperbola. Rectangular hyperbola. Meaning that if we decrease price by 5%, we're going to increase quantity demanded 5%. And so that's how that would look. Don't forget the P and the Q and the demand curve there. Alrighty. The next one, whoops, wrong button. Alright, the next one is, let's see, perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic. So let's draw that out so you can kind of get a visual here. So this is what a perfectly elastic demand curve looks like. And so let's say that the price of this is $5. And so we know that people will buy any quantity at $5. But what if the price were to go up or to go down? You know, we don't intersect with the demand curve. And so when we do the percent change in the quantity demanded over the percent change in the price, you know, what if the percent change in the quantity demanded was 10%? You know, this is the percent change in price is 0. All right, and so 0 going into 10%, that's going to make the value of a perfectly elastic demand curve infinite. All right, and so that's what it looks like. All right, and then finally, we want to do the perfectly inelastic demand curve. And so this is, let's just draw out what it looks like. There's the Q, and there's the P. Then the demand curve is going to be vertical. All right. And so what this is saying is that if we raise the price from there to there, all right, so from $5 to $10, what's going to happen to the quantity that people demand? And as you can see from this, the quantity demanded would remain unchanged. And so if we raise the price by, 50%, then the quantity demanded is going to change by 0. And so the price elasticity value of a perfectly inelastic demand curve is going to be 0. So, and we'll talk in a little bit about what kind of products this would be and why this curve would look like it is. So anyway, this is the first part of this. You should be able to draw all these diagrams, all right, and you should have a decent understanding about what price elasticity of demand really is, what it's used to measure, what the values mean, and why we don't see the negative, although it is there, why we use the absolute values. So we will stop there because this one takes a little bit longer, and I'm going to try and break it into chunks. So until next time.